I'm going to say hi to John.
Hi, John. Hi, John. I'm sorry, John.
Sorry, I forgot. Yesterday. Who said that? Thomas says that? Who's John? Thomas does not know who you are. All right. Okay, finding the complex root. So yesterday I gave you this scary formula of the complex root. Flip back to your notes and give me that formula. What was that scary root? Like so many letters and words that's probably belong in your English class. But what did it start with? Z subscript K equals nth root of R, and then a big bracket or parentheses. Cosine. Quantity theta subscript 0 divided by plus that's right, plus keep on going. That's right, so scary. 2 pi k divided by n. The only number you see in a math class is a number 2. Everything else is just crazy. Yeah, subscript 0, exactly. Okay. So it says find the complex root. In this case, it wants you to find the 4th root, okay? The 4th root. So let's dissect this. Okay. 4th root means n will be 4. In your homework, it will ask you for maybe a different root, maybe a 3rd root or a 5th root. If that's the case, if it's asking for the 3rd root, meaning that n is 3. If it's asking for the 5th root, n would be 5, and so on and so on. Okay. In addition to finding the root, we need to know what k is. So first, we will do first root. Even though it says finding the 4th root, you are looking for the first 4, technically. First root, 2nd root, 3rd root, and 4th root. So finding the 4th root, not only the 4th root, it wants you to find all 4 of them. Okay. First root, all that means is k is 0 because the definition says k starts at 0. So when k is 0. So we have 2 things. We know k, we know n. Now we need to find r and theta. How do we find r? Yeah. Okay, so the first thing, this right here, it's in complex form. Would you guys agree? Rectangular form. How do I put it in polar form? Rewrite as polar. How do I do that? What would you need? R. So I need R equals, formula is? That's right. What is x and what's y? X is -1, square that. Y is √3, square that. So what did R come out to be? 2. Perfect. I got R. How do we find, what else do we need to find for polar? Theta. How do we find theta in polar? Tangent inverse of y divided by x. Now before we go further, your original complex dot, what quadrant is that in? Second, okay? How do you know second so quickly? Negative, real, and then positive, imaginary. Negative x, positive y, so that's in quad 2. But here's the thing, when you guys are borrowing tangent inverse, okay, let me write quad 2. The original dot is in quad 2. When you guys are borrowing tangent inverse, and you have a negative, what quadrant is that going to spit out? 4. So be very mindful. By the way, for our question, what's x and what's y again? √3 divided by -1. Okay. Now give me the angle for that. Let's do degrees because it's a lot easier to figure out. What is that in degrees? Not 300. What is it? 120. Because would you agree that tangent inverse of a √3 over 1 is a multiple 60? Okay. Technically, this is a -60 degrees. True or false? Technically. But that means it puts you in what quad? 4. You don't want to be in quad 4. Your original dot is in quad 2. So how do I get back to quad 2? Add 180. Okay. So this gives you what? 120 degrees. Okay, so I got theta, I got radius. Now we can plug it in. Ready? First root, that means this is really z subscript of what? 0 equals, you know n. What is your n for this problem? Always 4. What is r for this problem? Always 2. So that piece will never change. Now this piece right here will change. Cosine, we found theta already. What is theta? 120. Whoops. So 120 divided by 4, because n in this problem would never ever change. In the formula that was given to you yesterday, it says 2 pi k, but because we're dealing with degrees, what would we convert that to? 360 times, what is your k for first root? 0 divided by 4. So whatever cosine is, sine will be exactly the same. All right, so what's 360 times 0 divided by 4?
0.
That's 0. What's 120 divided by 4? 30. So can I just straight up write sine, I sine 30 degrees? Okay, and then I'll simplify this side. So first answer, first root, fourth root of 2 cosine of 30 degrees plus I sine of 30 degrees. That's root numero uno. Okay, how many more root are we looking for? 3 more, because it says all 4 roots. Okay, root number 2. Hey, listen, I didn't make up the rule, okay? I'm just teaching you. Second root, what would k be? 1. Let's plug it in. Z subscript 1 equals, do I need to find radius and theta again? No, it's already found. What goes here? Fourth root of 2 cosine, okay? Now, would you agree this would never change? This right here would never ever change. The theta divided by n, that first piece, which is in our case 120 degrees divided by 4. What's really changing every time we find an additional root? The k, yeah. So the next one is 360 times, what's your k now? 1 divided by 4. Would that be a true statement? Plus I sine something. But whatever this is, I sine is the same. Okay. So what's 360 times 1 divided by 4? That's 90. So can you see going from root 1 to root 2, I'm just going to add 90. Okay. So I sine, I'm just going to go straight to 30 plus 90, which is what? 100 and, 30 plus 90. Okay, so root 2, here we go. Root fourth index of 2 cosine of 120 degrees plus I sine of 120 degrees. All right, that's root number 2. Now root 3, I'm sorry, and root 4, technically, if you see a pattern, you shouldn't have to do any more work. I'm sorry, Z sub 1, sorry. Z sub 1, thank you. Oh, Z1, okay. So what's the pattern for the next 2 roots? Okay. You're right, you're just adding 90 for the next one, okay? Because even if you look at it visually, would you agree that root 3 is k is what? 2. So if I do 2, and then can I simplify to 4 right away? Yeah, right? So that's really mean dividing by a what? Half. So 360 divided by half is 180. So, but if I'm adding 100 to 30, isn't that the same thing as adding 90 to this one because I've already added 90 earlier? Yeah. Okay. And then root 4, instead of doing all the math and plugging the formula again, could I just add 90 from the root before? Yes. So once, class, you figure out what this is, every root is just an additional of that same measurement. Okay. So root 3, we do not need to use the formula again. So root 3, I'm going to use z sub what? 2. So root 3. Okay. Z sub 2 equals 4th root of what? 2. Cosine of 120 plus 90, which is 210 degrees, plus I sine of the same exact angle. That's root 3. Root 4. Z subscript what? 3. 4th index of 2. Cosine of what, y'all? 300 even. Plus I sine of 300. And guess what? That is an egg roll. Which makes me really hungry. All right. So everyone say bye to John.
Bye, John. See you, John.